What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locker Room to Boardroom, the podcast. We are coming back at you again from the Golf Habit in Windsor, Colorado. I like that Cam put up his holiday stuff. It's looking very festive in here. But again, our gracious host to allow me to come in here and have these conversations. But very excited about today. We have Jo Lacricchio-Turman as our guest on this, and it's a very special one for me. This is an individual who's had a lot of um, shape in my life and a lot of influence and helped me get to a lot of the places that I got to. And so I'm extremely excited for this conversation. Jo is a Colorado native. We always like the Colorado natives who played volleyball at Colorado State University and went into the education world and is now continuing on with that and shaping lives and mental performance and all of those good things. So, Jo, it's great to have you on.
Thanks. Thanks for the invite, and I really appreciate the time and excited to chat with you.
Oh, I know it's exciting. Is it? I feel like I just am gonna have to call you Creeks.
I think
I
that's
just
fine.
it just feels that, it's like a lot of times when I hear Jake, it's out of place, especially for baseball people. It's like
Yeah.
Jake, it's like, wait, no, it's Stu. I'm gonna respond faster to Stu than I am to Jake. But yeah,
Great
so we're
is
very
fine.
excited. So Creeks, generally the way that we like to start this is just tell us a little bit about where you grew up, what you did for fun, how your youth kind of shaped out in the athletic world.
Cool. Okay. Well, um, without telling too specifically about that year that I was born, but I can tell you that when I first started to be interested in athletics or sports like that, there were no women's sports at the school I was at. Okay, so the
Okay.
closest I got
Okay.
was a cheerleader for four
Okay.
years. And I loved
Okay.
it. It was fun. It was, gross motor activity. It was all of that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but by the time I got out of um, eighth grade, they had started a girls softball uh, league. And
Okay.
so that was my first intro to like baseball and that whole, because that whole world. My dad loved baseball, so he just had a bat in my hand, and that was just home for me. Is that game and watching it and loving it. So,
Oh,
um,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Okay. Oh, dang,
yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah.
I have, my wife's a cheerleader. She was a cheerleader at
I love
Rockies,
it.
so
Yep.
I have an affinity. But no, that's also your first introduction to that's basically like organized team
Organized.
sports
Yeah. They called it
with
Girls Athletic Association, so GAA back in the day. Um,
okay.
and we got to start participating in the gyms and on the fields and everywhere
Okay.
that
So
time.
was that the GAA, was that run, was it through the school or was it like a club kind of private separate entity?
I believe it started, that was kind of the first little bit that the state of Colorado started to
Okay.
organize. Yeah.
Okay.
The Girls Athletic Association.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. Okay. That's awesome. So then
Little
jumped right
history.
into the softball world. And
Yeah.
so then did you play, was it softball and then the volleyball transition like through a high school team?
The softball, I just started that first little bit, and when I got to high school, I actually was a swimmer, and volleyball
Okay.
and swimming were in the same season.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was the first year for that team. So I lettered in swimming. I was a backstroker and, all
Okay.
those, all those fun things that I really hated. I didn't really like the pool. What am I doing in
Uh,
this pool? I don't
I
know.
know. It's so funny. We have a number of swimmers and just hearing I have first and foremost learned so much about swimming in the last probably 2 or 3 months. But just, it was one of those things that, at least for me, like my observation of swimming was like 4:30, 5 a.m. in the pool, and it just
Right.
always looked miserable.
Yeah, it was miserable. I don't know, but I have to tell you that after you got out of the pool after a race, I that was the first time I felt what an endorphin rush was from exercise, right? I mean,
Okay.
you gave it 100%. And so that was a thing that I always tried to match in every sport that I did was, give it your all.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah, swimming
find that.
is just
Yeah,
so hard. I
it is.
can't. I was talking to a water polo player about just like the thought. You think we always, it's like the joke is, a plank minute seems really long or a microwave minute seems really long, but treading water for a minute has to be the longest perception of time a minute could possibly
Yeah,
last.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you were a backstroker.
I was
Did you do
backstroke.
anything else or it was just that?
Yeah, I did like the IM relays,
Okay.
just regular strokes and all that, but I could never, do the butterfly or anything. So I thought, I lettered in swimming, but I'm going to try a different sport, volleyball,
Uh-huh.
in the
Okay.
fall instead of that sport. And I had gone on to letter in basketball and track. I did not. I was a hurdler in
Okay.
track. And then I went on to play tennis and lettered in tennis. So I
Just did
kind
them
of
all.
I hit them all, but volleyball was my love. There was a senior at that time who kind of took me under her wings, and before club sports were even invented, they had created this workout time, if you want to call it that, in Denver. So I drove from Thornton. We lived in Thornton,
Okay.
down to Denver, at the executive towers by their pool. And before plyometrics were no boxes,
Uh-huh.
nothing. This Korean coach and his wife, who was a Korean Olympic Korean player, started this club. And
Okay.
so we would just go down there and jump over lawn chairs. We would jump
Dang,
over chase
okay.
lounges. We would jump over, tables. And I learned how to engage those big, large muscle groups. I learned how to swing my arms. I learned about momentum. And I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with the sport.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, it's so fun of thinking of, even about my childhood of like how many of those things you learn from something that's not like necessarily organized. I mean, it
right,
was like me and my buddies out there playing night games, and you learn just agility, and you're working on all these things, and you're just gaining competitiveness and
right,
explosiveness and all those good things. But that's jumping over lawn
right.
chairs is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, oh, they have plyometric boxes now? That's crazy.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I know. It's going into a gym now, even for me, is like there is some crazy futuristic
yeah, yeah,
technology that are in all these
right.
gyms. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. And so
And
that was
the Korean coaches were there, Bill McKenzie and Elvie McKenzie, and he always said, if you want to jump higher, jump.
uh-huh.
Just keep practicing jumping, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so as I kept doing that, I came up to CSU. I wasn't sure what school to go to, accepted in all of them, and came up to CSU, and it just felt like home, on campus. And I walked into the volleyball coach's office and I said, I want to play. And she's like, well, who are you? And what have you done before? And I was, at that time, I didn't even think about saying, well, I was trained by the Korean Olympic coach,
Yeah.
but, it just, whatever. So she gave me the walk on tryout time. And at that time, Jake, my jump was close to 24 inches. Like, so even though I was shorter for, a player's nap by today's standards, I could jump out of the gym and I just
Oh
loved it.
yeah.
So at that point, I made the team and contributed quite a bit that first year. And then she started recruiting a lot of the California kids and stuff like that. But by the end of my senior or junior and senior year, had gained a scholarship, and kind of worked my way to that place where we were traveling and really just competing at that high end level, really for women's sports at that time.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
that was when Title
Absolutely.
Title IX was coming in, and we were not allowed to play in Moby Gym until
Okay.
our junior and senior year.
Dang,
Um,
okay. So where did you, was it in that, I'm so bad with CSU facility names. Where did you guys play?
it was in the intramural gym, which is down by the swimming pool.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we kind
Okay.
of had to walk through the halls as Title IX was coming in, and there were some men's sports that got cut, and they put some of the women's sports in place, and the rollout wasn't smooth. Let's just call it that. Back in the 80s. And so it was hard going to practice because we did get some, hazing or whatever, like we took it from them. And I get it, man. They had every right to be there too. I just wish that they had whoever the powers were at that time could have done and not or, as
Yes.
far as sports go.
Yes. But yeah, dang, that's awesome. I mean, just thinking about it from not being able to compete in an organized team sport till what, eighth, ninth grade, and
Yep.
then walking on to CSU and earning a scholarship is
Yeah. It
pretty
was
dang
fun.
impressive.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty
It was
impressive.
fun.
And so when you got to CSU, I mean, for everybody, that we talked to, and for myself included, I mean, stepping into college athletics is really stepping into the next level of athletics, right? I mean, how was that transition for you going to, and first and foremost, you played all the different sports to one sport, and now just that high level of competition, the practice, the travel, everything that goes into it. How was that kind of transition into college sports for you?
It was an eye-opening experience for sure. I mean, right? Because you think, well, I came here to go to school, but I had no concept how to juggle that. I had no idea that it was going to take that much time.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'll have to tell you, we practiced 6 in the morning. And then we practiced at 3 in the afternoon. So school was kind of sandwiched in between, but our life was like in the gym. Like,
Oh
that
yeah.
was our priority. And I remember at the end of my freshman year, I lived in Corbett dorm, and I walked down there, practice was over, getting ready to go home for the summer. And I walked down to eat in the cafeteria. And one of the people that lived on my floor turns and looks at me and she goes, "Do you even live here?" And the truth is, we didn't, right? Because we were traveling. We would leave on probably Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, Friday, usually, and
Oh
we wouldn't
yeah.
get back till Sunday. And you know what that's like. It's, what does it feel like to come in off of a trip on a Sunday night and be expected to perform on a test on Monday morning?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah. It's
and you hadn't been there all week.
Yes, that's what we always, I always like to joke that it's your first kind of opportunity to see what it's like to work two full-time jobs.
Right,
You
right,
got
right.
athletics that are 40, 50 hours a week. You got school, which is taking just as much time. It's amazing just how disciplined you have to be with your time
Yeah,
management and all
yeah.
of those things. I went back when after I got drafted, the MLB did a great thing where they set aside money for you to go back and finish your degree. And when I went back to finish my degree, it was unbelievable how much time I had just going to school and not playing sports. It's like I have all the time in the world. This is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yes, but that's
I could really be a student.
yes, but yes, 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. for the practice
Yeah,
work is
so
something. And what were you guys? What conference were you in at that time for CSU?
AIAW and the Intermountain League. So it was
Okay.
AIAW. That's all it's sticking in my brain right now. But Athletic International. I don't know what the other W
Yeah.
is for women.
But like where were you guys traveling to for away
Well,
games?
yeah, so that was Intermountain League. So one of our first away games was in Arizona. So we kind of
Okay.
hit all the mountain, we had Arizona, Utah, uh, Wyoming, New Mexico. And then our coach was from California, so she did a great job getting us out to California, getting us exposed to some of that higher level of play because volleyball really started out there, and uh, much before it was popular here in Colorado. I'm going to imagine the skill level was just that much better. So she started recruiting out from out there, but we would go out there and play often. We played at UCLA, USC, San Diego. Uh, but I remember my first road trip. It's snowing, and we drive east. We had, okay, get this, we had 10 players on an eight passenger bus.
Okay.
So we are crowded in there with all our gear and everything, right?
Oh yeah.
It's snowing. We're headed to Kansas, University of Kansas, to play. And we stop off at some diner and it's cold and it's raining. And you talked about what was it like to go from that high school mentality into this collegiate new world. And I remember going to sitting down with an older player and she ordered coffee. Like I was like, what? You're ordering coffee? And I
Oh,
remember excusing myself. I had to go to the payphone and call my mom and go, I don't know where I am. Like I'm in
yes.
Kansas somewhere.
Oh, that is, yes, that's
So it was
hilarious.
like, welcome to, the next 4 years of your life. And that's what we
Yes.
did. And through that experience though, I gained friendships that have lasted over 40 years.
Oh yeah. That's the best part of it, right? Is the
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we
Oh,
just
that's
had
awesome.
the 40th reunion and they all came back and it's just been a blast.
Yeah, that's right. But that's so did you how off did you fly to California? Did you fly elsewhere? Was it mostly bus trips?
It was mostly bus trips. We would even go as far as New Mexico and Utah. But one of the trips, we had so much snow. We got snowed in Wyoming as we're traveling across. And on the
Uh-huh.
way back, people were getting sick in the van. I mean, it was just this is not great. So our coach, thanks to her, really, she did push that Title IX a lot. She told administration, we are not going to travel again until we were given the right to fly.
Yes. Oh,
And
that's yeah,
yeah.
good for you. That's awesome. I know that was I got we we flew everywhere but LA in college. So we would drive bus down to like USC, UCLA, all those schools. And it was I got spoiled because we were flying and then you get into pro ball and it's nothing but 10-hour bus rides every third day
Yeah.
overnight in the middle of nowhere, kind of like you're talking about. And that was my first experience with coffee was in professional baseball. I'd never had it until then,
Oh,
but it was
really?
like, we're taking 10 these 10-hour because the game ends at 10 p.m. Bus leaves at, 11 midnight, anything like that. You're driving 10 hours. It's 10 a.m. You check into the hotel. You got to be back on the bus at 3 p.m. to go to the field and play another game. And so the wear and tear of 140 games in 150 days led me to drink coffee for the first time. But no, that's awesome. And I mean, I think like you said, kind of going back to that point of the friendships. I mean, there's nothing more powerful in bringing people together than that shared struggle, right? And
Yeah.
going through those experiences together.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're in them, they're not as fun, but looking back so fondly and laughing about, the experiences that you got to share with these other individuals and everybody going through it together is it's one of the best things about athletics at that level is going through those things
Right.
with these people who, yeah, you get to call friends for life.
Right. And that's what I mean, I'm putting a little plug in here, but that's what I really appreciate about your organization, Jake, is when you walk into a room, you know that the people in that room have already have a shared struggle that they've gone through. They already have this wisdom and insight that they gained through that similar opportunity, similar experiences. And it's not too often that you get to talk to people like that, that have that understanding, that have that knowledge of I don't want to call it sacrifice, but it was this opportunity that only comes around once in your life.
Yes.
And I just
Yes.
really appreciate that about what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We like it too. It forges very deep connections. And the thing that we like so much about it, me and Mike were talking about this the other day is like you said, when you walk into these rooms or walk into these events or are surrounded by these people, just I like how everything feels so quick and natural and
Mhm.
authentic, right? And
Mhm.
just it's like it's hard to explain, but we were talking. It's almost like everybody has their guards down, and a
Yeah,
lot of times when you walk into a new room or walk into a business networking or just a seminar or anything like that, I mean, you kind of are playing this part and you're on your game, and I got to make sure I'm saying this or doing this, and everything I like that about what we do is everything just feels so genuine, laid back, connections feel so easy, and it is that just that mutual understanding of the athlete mindset, right? And everybody
right.
went through these crazy experiences and these 5 a.m.s and 6 a.m.s and the two jobs and just everybody, the stories of the van in Kansas and the coffee. And that was I have yet to go back to a Bob Evans because that was in minor league baseball. That was like our home because it was basically all these towns that we were going to had, and you don't have
Yeah.
a car. You're taking the bus. You're staying in some truck stop in the middle of small town USA, and Bob Evans is in the parking lot, so you're going to go over there and eat, and so
Yeah.
everybody, kind of understands that, and so we love that part of it, and going back to you and just the relationships that you build and the team chemistry that you build. And you guys were the first, what was it, the first team to compete at the national tournament for CSU?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. 1980, we qualified for the national tournament, the AIAW national tournament. I believe that was out in California. And
Okay.
up until that point, there wasn't another, we were the first women's team to compete at that level. We were the first 1980 team was the first women's team to compete in Moby Gym. Um, and so it was a privilege to be a part of that and kind of see that happen. And we don't know why exactly the banner never went up into the rafters at CSU. Our suspicions are maybe at that period of time, the women's sports weren't in alignment with Title IX.
Okay.
Anyway, regardless, after 45 years, we finally unfurled a banner in Moby Gym just this last September and
I know
watched that thing drop. That was really
that's
cool.
that's so cool. It's, just the fact that that happened, the fact that you guys were all together. I mean, how special was that just to see it come down all together, arm in arm, right? Everybody
Yeah,
there together.
yeah.
I mean, how special was that?
It was, I mean, I think there wasn't a dry eye, on the team for sure. And then to have, all our gray hair and, weathered bodies and, hip replacements and knee replacements, and then having that validated through a banner that all that hard work did show for something.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I know it's so many times as athletes we do the work that goes unnoticed, right? That's kind of the
Right.
biggest differentiator between competing at those high levels and not competing at those high levels is putting in the work over and over and over and over and over again without expecting the lights to be on or the stadium or the
Right.
Super Bowl or whatever it is, right? And so that's so awesome. And at the same time, it's so awesome, just how close you guys still are. I mean, to still
Yeah.
have those bonds and those relationships
Yeah.
is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, yeah, they're sisters for sure.
I know
Yeah,
that's awesome. And going through all that stuff together. And so then, excuse me. So going from all of, being the first national team or team to compete at the national tournament, being the first team to play at Moby, all those exciting things to, how did you feel your senior year at CSU or kind of did you proactively think about your playing days being over or how was that kind of in the sunset of your playing career?
that's a great question. Yeah, I think, we talked a lot about that, the identity process of, I'm an athlete, I'm a volleyball
Yes.
player, and after I graduate, who am I? Like,
Yes.
how do I change that identity? And, it took a while to understand that who I was not necessarily what I did, and to really help to identify those characteristics and those values, and those values carried with me in whatever job that I, decided to take. But I think it
Yes.
was really formulated, like as you say, as what athletics does for people is it creates this teamwork. I mean, I don't really take a job now unless I know that they have this sense of teamwork and camaraderie. It just is so much easier to go into work every day and love it, right? And I learned that in athletics. I learned what work ethic was in athletics. I learned that running up Moby stairs to the rafters endlessly, right, was just me pushing as hard as I could push. And those values carried with me to my workplace. That's just what you did.
Oh yeah.
And so in that senior year, just a quick story, but I had a bad ankle. My coach knew that I had a bad ankle. I was taking another class, techniques of teaching volleyball or whatever it was, and I jumped up and I rolled my other ankle on a ball. My coach looked at me, I looked at her, and I was like, I'm not saying a word because if you get hurt, you're not playing your senior game. So
Yes.
anyway, so I wrapped it up and we're in Moby. I had played the first game. The second game wasn't going great because my both ankles were like I was killing. I had tears running down my face. I wasn't crying, but tears were coming.
Yes.
And coach pulls me off and she goes, "You're done, Lacricchio." So I knew that I had given everything and left everything on the court.
Yes.
And so that was a great way to kind of finish that off. And then eventually I had got my teaching certificate and moved on to high school sports and coaching at Rocky. But
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's kind of it's cool to hear that because it's for a lot of people that we talk to, stepping away from the game. A lot of individuals get told they're done, or get fired or released or
right,
cut or whatever it is, and just knowing. Coming from a place that you knew you gave everything that you could
yeah,
have to the game is what a moment of peace,
it
with
was.
just
Yeah,
coming to terms with it because we just a lot of people that I talk to are like, oh, I could still, I still got it, I still got a shot, or I need to do something to get a shot. And
right.
just coming, I felt, for me at least, I was in a very like that same kind of thing, like a zen-like state of, I thought I had gotten everything I wanted to out of baseball. I felt, I still love the game more than anything in the world. It's my favorite thing in the world is baseball. There's nothing like it. But it's just knowing, stepping away from it, that I felt like I was so at peace with that decision, or with that time frame and that period, just with stepping away from the game, of knowing that, I had given it what I wanted to give it. I got out of it what I wanted to. I met the people. I played in 45 states. I had my experiences. I had this awesome time within the game, and just understanding that my time was done. It helped, I guess, come to terms with the reality of the situation a little bit
Right.
easier. And so then your first kind of stepping into the next chapter and stepping into the education side of it, how was those first kind of couple of years for you, stepping into that just new world?
Um, it was, I guess before I was even hired at Rocky, I was hired as the volleyball coach. So I had 2 years where I just coached and I was working as a assistant athletic director at the now Genesis, but it was called the Fort Collins Club back in the
Oh
day.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I grew up in the Fort Collins Club. I love that place.
yeah, well, we probably passed each other then too. Um, so that was I kind of my foot in the door to Poudre School District, and then I went and I worked at Weber for a minute, but still coaching at Rocky. And then Dr. Radcliffe hired me as a teacher there. for health and PE.
Yeah.
And I got to coach. And my first year coaching, I was coaching volleyball, basketball, and track. So I was kind of all over the board again. And uh, it was definitely a change. But in the background, the only really reason I got that job is Dr. Radcliffe wanted somebody who continued to play. So, you kind of asked me, was my senior year it? But I went on to play until I was 45 years old.
Dang, good for
Um,
you.
so we went, we had, it was called, I don't know, some kind of club volleyball and co-ed, things like that. But we, flew to New York and played against people that were incredible. And everybody was, like you said, the equalizer, right? So you just got to play. You just got to do your sport.
Yes.
Um, I just remember the last game I played competitive like that. I went for a ball, popped it up, and just laid there on the floor. I think I was 45 years old. And one of my teammates goes, "Joe, part of playing volleyball is getting up."
Uh,
I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I got to get up." So,
yes. Oh,
but
okay.
that's what really got me into I still had that desire and that love for the game so much that I think that translated to my players on the team. And when I coached the kids at Rocky, and we would get out there and play with them and scrimmage them and just challenge them to come up to a different level
Yes.
and then help raise that level of support for them. So,
Yes. No, and that's I mean, I think again, players can definitely see that and see that passion and feel that passion, right? And I think that there's something to be said about having a coach like that, right? A coach with that kind of passion to not necessarily like live and breathe the game, but just love the game and every
right,
single possible thing about it,
right.
right? And there's, you know, for a lot of people that we talk to, good coaches can, or good or bad coaches can make or break
Yep,
your time in the sport. You can get
yep.
burned out or not. And so I have one quick question as a sidebar to ask you because now I'm curious. So you played multiple sports and you coached multiple sports. How did you feel as a coach about your athletes competing in more than one sport?
I loved it. I loved it. I'm sorry,
Good.
I maybe not the same season. That was tough on the kiddos too, and the coordination of practices and things. So, for example, I think soccer ran simultaneous to volleyball, and that's hard to juggle that. It's
Yes.
hard on the athlete, but in my opinion, I would encourage kids. I'd almost rather have a kiddo go out for basketball and track versus just straight club player because they were
Yes.
learning how to transfer skills that are not in volleyball. They were learning how to think differently. They were learning how to adjust to situations better. So
Yes.
I encouraged every minute of it.
Oh, love
Absolutely.
that. Love. I mean, it's just, it's funny. We're just in such this era of specialization,
Hmm.
younger and younger, and that, it's always one of these topics that gets talked about. And, obviously for me, I played football, basketball, baseball all the way through senior high school, and
Hmm.
I loved everything about what that brought to me, not necessarily just like basketball is in the best shape, baseball is different shape, football, you get the strongest. But, at the same time, I liked it that, I think one of the best things for me that that kind of led me through my adjustment to Stanford, was obviously in high school baseball, I was the man, right? You're great. You're going to Stanford. You're doing well, hitting whatever over 500, doing all those things. And basketball, I was not the guy. So it taught me humility
Right.
in that sense that now I kind of got to find my place and how to be a team guy and how to support the players, Kaipo and those guys on our team that are
Hmm.
studs in this. And then, I got to Stanford and now I'm not the man anymore. Now I'm just a nobody. So now but I think for me it really helped me with going to that next level of playing multiple sports because I learned how to play on a team in so many different aspects of how my individual self contributed to the team, and not just, I saw it a number of times in those athletes that in a way they had never been humbled before, and getting humbled for the first time kind of broke them, and it
Mhm.
led them to not live up to their potential. And so I like that. It was just, I had to
No,
ask. It's always funny asking
no, it's
coaches
a
what they
great
think
question.
about multiple sports.
I think you're right. I think you're hitting it right on the nose where that's another transitional piece that happens because of athletics. How we can step into that business world is to go in and assess what role you have to be or step into or want to step into as a contributor.
Yes.
Am I a leader and I need people to kind of follow along and look up to me? Am I a contributor to that leadership? Am I, how do I help uh,
Yeah,
get everybody to that goal?
no, that's funny. I don't think that we've ever brought that up. But thinking about, I mean, you said it perfectly. When you step into the business world, more often than not, it's got to
Mhm.
be the vast majority of the time, you do not step into the business world as a CEO, right? You
Right,
step in as
right.
an employee, and now you got to fit, now you're a role player. It's
Yep,
that same kind of
yep,
mindset of now, how do
yep,
I, like you said, how do I contribute and bring value to this team? And now, and then if those, you can get to leadership roles, and it's why so many athletes do climb the corporate ladder, is just understanding all of those
yeah,
skill sets that they learned through athletics. But no,
yeah.
that's awesome. But anyway, so getting into your kind of education side of things, I mean, how through that, through your career in education, I mean, how is just that mentality? How is it given back to the next generation? I mean, what was your favorite part of being in the education world?
It has to be the students. I mean, I subbed for,
Yes, I was one of those.
it's right. Well, I'll tell you what, and I don't know if I would say this later on in our conversation or not, but I love to work with kids that love to work, right? And so
Yes.
your age group, I could tell, like when you were walking in, you're like, what do you got? Because I want to know it, right? And so kiddos like you, other baseball players, other athletes, I was I gravitated to that because I'm like, what do you want to learn today? Let's discover that together. And but I just love the part of the relationship building with students of that age group. I just think that they have their own mind and their own opinions, and they're not afraid to share them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And that part was great. And I
Yeah,
think that it was just such a blessing. I don't know how many thousands of kids I saw go through that school, but such a blessing to just be a little bit part of their timeline.
yes, no, that's awesome. And I love that, because that was, I spent 8 years coaching at Rocky on the baseball side. And I always came to the kids, and my thing was like, yeah, I told them, I said, I'm going to coach you like it's professional baseball, right? If you want to get
Hmm.
better, I'm here. If you don't want to get better, I'm not going to be the one that's going to sit here and annoy you and, hey, we need to, you need to get in here, you need to get in here. Like, if you want to take the accountability and you want to come in and work, I'm going to be here. Text me, I'll show up, right? But
Right,
I loved
right.
those kids too, that wanted to put in that work, and wanted to be there, because again, that just being, it was so easy to show up for. I mean, it was so fun and easy to show up for everybody, right? But those kids, I loved that part of it. And then, so you said you went, it was Rocky Weber Rocky. How was the difference in high school to middle schoolers? That's a
Oh my
difference.
gosh. Those people need to have halos on their heads. I don't know. Middle
Yes.
school, um, I just, I guess for me, maybe coming from CSU, I don't know, but I wanted kids to get the skills so that we could play the game, right?
Yes.
And so I hope I had patience with that age group, but I enjoyed watching, those older kids really take what you had to say and then put it into application. It was amazing to watch that.
Yes. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. That's yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a year of I coached basketball, boys and girls at Weber. So I had my time coaching the middle school level and the high school level. And yes, that's a that middle school level, just as a product of being of that age and just how many hormones and crazy things are going on in your life. It was something. I mean, high school boys are hilarious too. They are. Um, that's its
Yeah.
own set of problems um but yes, just
Yeah,
that
but
that
you could kind
difference.
of reason with you just say, okay, here's the ball, go play, and they wouldn't argue
Yes.
about that. So
Yes. Oh, I
yeah,
know. Well, now, a lot of them, it's like you're 18, you're an adult. Let's figure this out, right?
yeah,
But no, that's
yeah.
funny. And so then when you went back to Rocky, so how did you go from like health and PE and those kind of subjects to the counseling side of things? How did you navigate that kind of career transition?
Well, let's see. I would say that I came into Rocky at a really advantageous time where um, the principal at that time was really encouraging about trying to make physical education more of a valued subject matter.
Okay.
And no offense to how it was before, and they had so many kids in a gym. I don't know how they were able to teach, but a lot of it was kind of just roll out the ball and let them go.
Okay. It's just
Um,
dodgeball every day.
it was dodgeball every day. And I found myself standing in between. You remember, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a large gym and an adjacent gym, and there was a doorway in between, and I was standing there in between just supervising. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
teaching. I wasn't contributing. I was just like, hey, that's a little rough there, go sit
Uh,
down. And so I kind of went to the principal, and she kind of gave me the freedom to start with creating curriculum.
okay.
So I was able to get team sports and racket sports in, and then I created the adventure or advanced physical education adventure PE.
Oh yeah, I took adventure PE.
Did you? Did
I
you take it
did.
with me?
No, I did Dyer. Yeah, I had
Dire,
Dyer.
yeah,
Yes.
dire.
But yes,
And
that was a
we
great
got
one.
ropes course. We got them on the ropes course. I mean, I was all about how at the end of this 4 years, kiddos are going to have to pay attention to their fitness and what is in the community that would get them out there and engaged so that they weren't intimidated to walk into a gym. They weren't intimidated to go try scuba diving or maybe rock
Yes.
climbing or bicycling. So that
Oh
was kind of
yes.
my goal for
Oh,
that.
that's awesome. And what a better place than Colorado. It's like
I know.
it's just all the outdoor activities. And
Yeah.
I mean, I remember hiking and mountain biking and all those things in Adventure PE, and just
Yeah.
what a great way to take advantage of what
Yeah.
Colorado has to offer. So
Right.
that's awesome. Okay. Okay.
So what happened then is when I got trained in a ropes course certified, and all of a sudden all this counseling piece started coming in because you were challenging people to push past their comfort zone.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we were processing about how that made them feel, right? And I was a health teacher, and then this started coming in, and I was like, I'm getting kind of old. I might have to I might have to think about the next steps. And so counseling was a logical step for me. And then there was this underpinning that I actually uh, jumped over while we were talking about uh, sports in college, and that was visualization.
Okay.
So Dr. Richard Schwinn would come into our practices at CSU, and we would sit down and visualize the game and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And something about it just clicked with me. And so I did some research on him, but it wasn't until I went back for my counseling degree that I said, you know what? It's great that I know about academic advising, but I really want to do some research on how that helps the brain and everything work through visualization. So how
Dang,
could
okay.
how could somebody sit there and do free throws by just visualizing, not really practicing, right?
Yes.
And so that's when you all were so great in the baseball team because Coach Bullock would say, go see Joe or whatever. And we would sit there and visualize. And I saw some amazing things happen with athletes. And
Oh,
so,
yeah, dang, okay.
yeah, so that kind of was my uh, jam, I guess, if you might call it, for
Yeah.
counseling, because I knew that there was more that we could reach into for athletes besides just the physicality of the workout, right? This
Yes.
mind body connection was huge.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Dang, that's funny. It's probably now I'm like reflecting on my own life of why I did that so much with our kids at Rocky when I was coaching.
yeah, yeah,
It was seared, but it was, it was one of those things I always it was that same kind of thing. I mean, I always talked about your mind-body connection. Your brain doesn't process can and cannot. It processes the
right,
information you put in. So if you're up at the plate and it's an 0-2 count, and I'm going to say, don't swing at the curveball in the dirt. Guess
right,
what? You're going to swing at the curveball in the dirt. So now it's like,
absolutely,
okay. So it's just funny. It's like I'm having this moment of reflection on myself of how those lessons really
yeah,
translated into my coaching of
yeah,
it. It was like, hey, now I'm going to say, see the ball up. Let's train our mind to see the ball up instead of
yeah,
don't swing at the ball down, right? And so,
right,
dang,
right,
that's funny. Okay, so yes,
yeah.
you've had a
So
very lasting impact on me.
well, that's good to know. Sometimes we don't know this stuff. I was just throwing it out. You caught it, man.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so in 95, when we won the first state championship, the night before leaving for the tournament, my kids had practiced everything possible, right? Like they were ready physically, they were ready. And so I brought them into the health room and we went over the statistics, right? So we would, hey, we're playing Cherry Creek and number two always dumps it on, dumps it over on two and blah, blah, blah. Then we watched the video. So we watched Cherry Creek doing what we just said. And
Okay.
then, and then we visualized that same scenario with the positive outcome, us playing Cherry Creek, watching perfect passes, sets, hits, watching the ball drop, watching all those things happen, and then winning, right? So now
Yes.
we had our thoughts, our body into it, our mind into it, the visualization piece, and then we went out and I actually recruited some loud people in the gym. I think there were girls and boys, but mostly it was boys. Gave them pizza and asked them to just come in and be as distractive as possible.
Yes.
And then we went through the same thing. Like, here's Cherry Creek, and we had people put on these jerseys that were blue or whatever color Cherry Creek was at the time. And then they were doing the tendencies. So this girl tends to jump on two. So we would have them act that out, and then
Okay.
play it through. So the night before a state tournament, we were willing to give over that traditional confines of practice for 20 minutes on ball handling or this or that or whatever, and we gave it over to calming the mind down so that kids could be present in the moment of competition,
Yes.
so the mind was already rehearsed and practiced and it was no big deal to step onto those courts.
Dang, yeah, that's funny. It's such a cool way of doing it. And it's such a unique advantage for those kids to have going into that game because it's like, well, especially with the loud
Yeah.
individuals that you had in there and all that stuff going on. I mean, how many coaches are doing that?
you know
Nobody. No,
I know, and I think there is a fear that says if I give up court time, then they're not going to be as practiced as they need to be. And in my opinion, you can train both at the same time. So you can bring in mental preparedness while you're shooting the basket or while you're swinging a golf club, whatever it is. So
yes.
I think it's just, and this is kind of why I've joined your group because I think that information could get out there to actually improve the sport level, whatever level that is, even more. when we
Yes.
start
Well,
to
they always say
integrate.
practice like you play, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
practicing like you play instead
Exactly.
of I can
Exactly.
go into an open gym and shoot free throws, but then all of a sudden when the game's on and that's maybe why I airballed so many free throws. But the game's on and the crowd's yelling and everybody's loud and now all of a sudden it's just a different scenario. It's not necessarily practicing like you play. That's not
Exactly.
why I missed so many free throws. That's a different story. But oh,
Well, your
yeah.
mind was probably just on baseball
Yeah, no, I
during that
definitely
time.
had the yips. I am a full proponent that I had the yips at the free throw line. Um, that was yeah, that's why,
Yeah,
that's why I was a role player in basketball because
that's right. That's right. And yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
shoot the
So I just feel like there's untapped potential in this area, and so I I just feel like if more coaches had that little piece of information,
Yes.
might see different. I'm not going to say better, worse, like it's the end all beat all. But now I've noticed that in the pros, they have mental performance coaches there.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it's not unheard of. And why can't we start doing that at the lower levels too? So kids are more used to that as part of the practice.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and setting them up for success, right? And that's,
Right.
I mean, we had Dr. George Carlo, I believe was his name. He was with the Tigers, but we did all that kind of mental performance and just mindset training and mind-body
Mhm.
connection and talking about all that. And even like you said, I mean, now I'm thinking about if you walk onto a college campus in the fall and the football team has an away game, they are blasting music to simulate crowd noise. So there's
Right.
a lot of these things are being implemented, but it's a lot of the stuff that you don't see or think about at the high school or younger levels. I mean, it's really about getting field time and just getting out there and practicing or getting as many hacks as you can in on the baseball field or whatever it is, right? But simulating some of those game
Mhm.
environments is pretty dang cool. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So then through the counseling time, I mean, is that kind of what led you, which is about getting a better understanding and learning more about all of that
Yeah.
process on that side, is that kind of what led you to doing what you do now?
Yeah, so you as a counselor, you always are taking classes, and I found this mindful class, mindfulness, and I thought, I wonder what that's about, right? And when I took it, it was kind of the missing link between this visualization piece for athletes and being present in that perfect moment, right? And
Yes.
so when I got into that, I started studying. I'm just going to hold this up if anybody wants to do it. But this is Amishi Jha. I don't know if you could see that, but it's
Yeah.
called Peak Minds.
Okay.
And her research shows that our brain will travel about every 7 seconds. It's away from the intended goal. So it's either in the past or future, or you might be thinking about the next question or how we're going to get out of this, and will Joe ever stop talking? Right? All of that is happening all at the same time, but our brain is only able to focus on one thing at a time. So let's say maybe you can recall a time when you were up to bat. You had to be in that moment
Oh yeah.
of watching the pitcher, watching the ball release out of the hand, what the speed is, calculating all of that. If you were to think about what are you going to have for dinner, you're probably going to strike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
so there, and the yips are part of that where the brain is just not connecting. Um, the focus is not on the goal that is intended, right? And so
Yeah.
our behavior and our thoughts and emotions are in alignment with our goals that we want to get out of that perfect moment. We increase that potential and that zone of performance exponentially.
Dang,
Exponentially.
okay. Dang,
And
that's awesome.
so I started to connect the dots with all this and realized, and I work with golfers now too, is especially in golf, it's such a quiet sport at the time of contact, right?
Yes.
And so if our brain is, going past or future with thoughts, how can we train them in that moment so it's a directed focus to get better accuracy, better alignment, and better outcomes for that. And
Yeah,
so
dang.
the practice when I this Amishi Jha, her research is amazing because she said more than mindfulness, or I'm sorry, more than visualization, positive thinking. A lot of kids are like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to shoot 8 out of 10 free throws or whatever. More than any of that is she said, focus on your attention. So that's
Okay.
kind of what I'm doing now is I'm training people how to pay attention to their attention.
Yes.
And we
Dang,
find,
okay.
yeah, and we find that this is huge for burnout, for any kind of stress management. It crosses the board. For sports, it's a common denominator is if I can pay attention to what I'm thinking, feeling, and needing in this moment, and I can address it or I have to put it away so that I can perform the skill I want, I have a higher potential to fulfill those goals that I want to be, connected with.
Yeah, absolutely. Dang, that's an awesome way of looking at it. I always just it's you got to lock in.
You got to
And
lock
I
in.
think
Okay.
that's what I always joke. My wife always we joke about this. Like you just got to lock in. If you
Yeah.
just lock in, it's why it's I always joke on the golf course too because I'm like I don't care if somebody talks in my backswing. If I could hit a baseball in front of 15,000 screaming fans about, swing now, swing or whatever it is, it's like I don't care. You just got to lock in. Lock in for a couple seconds, but that I mean, it makes so much sense to think about all those things. And again, I think I see how there's so much of that maybe you're more proactively learning about those things through athletics, but there's so many of those things that skill is so transferable to so many elements of your life, whether it
Mhm.
is working or family time or kids or whatever it is. I mean, that skill, there's so much to be said about that. I used to talk about this a lot at one of my former employers was, there's 8 hours in the workday, and it's like how many of those hours are you actually locked in working? It's like not that many, but if you were just as efficient as possible with your time, imagine how much your productivity would
Right.
increase. And so
Right.
it's just again, I'm having this moment of like self-reflecting of like that. It makes a lot of sense that, training that for individuals and helping individuals kind of work on that side, not just in sports, but in life, how beneficial that
Mhm.
could be.
Yeah, I I teach over at CSU, and one of the things I say to the people in the class is I believe one of the most valuable gifts I could give to a person is to be present with them in that moment, to not be distracted by the past, to not be distracted by what's next, but to be truly present with a person, to be truly present with a sport or an activity, to be truly present in anything is one of the greatest gifts you could give someone and yourself
Absolutely.
and yourself,
Absolutely.
you know. And so
Yes.
I just, you can tell I'm a little passionate about it because I feel like it is that missing piece. But I can give you an example if you wanted an
Would
example.
love that. Yes.
Yeah. So if I said to you, think about right now, you're kind of leaning on your club there. So think about your right wrist and the pressure that's on that um, club head there.
Okay.
And then take a breath through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to just focus on that club handle, but notice if your mind starts to wander either off of
Oh, it
something
did.
else.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay, perfect. So
Uh-huh.
you're
Yeah.
human. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it did.
Right? So the training is your brain will travel. We're not going to stop that. But as soon as you noticed it, you might have even noticed it before I stopped talking. As soon as you notice it, you retrain it back to where you want it to be.
Okay.
So now we're quicker. We can do it more frequently, and it's quicker that we notice it. And then we're actually bending time. We're time traveling, right? We're not in the past and we're not in the future. We're actually expanding the present moment so we can be more efficient and more effective in that moment.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I just like it so much, and I like it again for athletes and non-athletes, but I like it because, it's one of those things that me and Mike were just talking about this. You know what? when you go to the next level of athletics, basically everybody is this very similar physically, right? The separator is the mental side of every
Mhm.
sport, right? If you're a 6'8", 6'9" high school basketball player, you're going to be pretty much taller than most people, right? But when you go to the college level, everybody's like that. Or you go to the professional
Right,
level, right? And so
right,
now the great differentiator is the mental side and that mental
right.
performance. And so,
Yeah,
and again, too, not just in athletics, but in business, in your
business.
career, in all those things. Everybody in sales jobs, you're presented with a lot of the same opportunities. You have these at bats, whatever it is, whatever industry you're in. I mean, it's setting yourself up with a competitive advantage like that is it does not surprise me when you use the word earlier, exponentially increases. It's just like
Yeah.
that. It's such a unique competitive advantage to have in every facet of your
Mhm.
life. And now I even think about it like when I'm with my kids, just being present and enjoying the time with them. I mean, it's so easy to get
Absolutely.
distracted about, do I got to clean? Do I got to do these things? But just being present in there in the moment is it's not just sports, that effect on every element of your life is pretty dang cool. And
Mm.
it's very, very unique in golf. Now I got to think about this in golf. I'm always trying to get better at golf. I like golf now.
Well, think about it this way. So basically, it's about, am I regulated? Is my body system in a calm intensity? If we talk about brain frequencies, right? If my brain is in a calm frequency, but still intense, that doesn't mean I'm lounging around and. So I have the intensity with calmness. That, okay, yeah, I can swing a golf club better because I'm intense, I'm focused, I'm competitive. I want to hit the pin, but I'm calm in the way I approach it. I'm not tight, my muscles aren't constricted in the wrong way. So I have this practice outside of that game that can calm the system enough to be regulated to be efficient, right? So if we go in the boardroom or any business, I know that when I'm regulated, my memory's better. I have better frontal lobe control, like my decision making is quicker.
Hmm.
I have all these tools at my fingertips. And so, this awareness, paying attention to your attention, is about becoming aware of when you're not regulated, when you feel anxious, when you're feeling distracted and not in the present moment, and then how to bring yourself back so you can be really efficient in that moment.
Yes, it's such a cool, it's just this now. This is just so fascinating. I mean, I think about, I always talked about, especially coaching, was like when your heart rate speeds up is one of the worst things for you as a baseball hitter, right?
Right.
Adrenaline, as soon as you start to, it's one of the things that I read. I don't know if this, whatever, I read this stat and now I'm going to quote it like I know it. And they say that, the number one thing that golfers struggle with is just the pace of like your heart rate, everything that you're doing from your practice swing to when you address the ball, right? And
Mhm.
same thing with baseball. When you go hitting off a tee is a very slow, controlled environment, to front flips, to batting practice, to a game. It's a very different internal speed that you're working with. And how do you
Mhm.
slow that speed down is by doing things like this. So that's
Yeah.
very cool. So this all led you to this envisioned coaching, right? And this is what you do now is help individuals or businesses or organizations or athletes or whoever it might be, right? And so this is kind of your baby now is doing this
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yep. Yep. I guess I failed at retirement. And and I there's just so much more that I want to share. And I feel like this is a unique missing piece, if you want to call it that, but it really does transcend past the sports arena into business, into relationships, into communication. And it's just about becoming more and more aware of that present moment. What am I thinking, feeling, needing in this moment? Can I take a breath and put all those things aside so I can pay attention to what I need to pay attention to? And in my opinion, the more skills I can give coaches that they can give their kids and that ripple effect, great. I'm all
Yes.
about sharing that and letting that progress however it has to progress. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long have you been doing Envisions now?
I believe I started, I looked back at my licensure and it said 2017, but to be fair, I haven't been focused or known how to roll that out up until recently. But I've been coaching. I've had golfers more recently, probably in the last 3 years. I've had a um, equestrian jumper. Um,
Okay.
so I've had different sport people coming to me, but again,
Dang,
I
the
don't.
equestrian one's cool. That one's cool because that one
Yeah.
is this is I'm so naive when it comes to this world. But isn't that so much just about the connection of like the athlete with the horse and working together and all that?
Well,
Did I
yeah, and
make
if
that
you
up?
think, no, I think you're right on. But guess what? That comes from the rider being regulated and not giving
Yes.
and
Yes.
giving, right? And not giving. So I don't know everything there is to know about every sport. What I do know is how to teach people how to regulate themselves so they can access their own skills that they've learned from their coaches and other people. So
Yes.
as a golfer, you have skills that maybe when our brain is not in the moment, you can't access those skills because you're too tied up or you're thinking about something else. So envision coaching just teaches people how to realize that and then refocus that.
Yes. That's so awesome. And so then with Envision coaching, it's not just athletes, right?
No, it's anybody. Mhm.
Anybody. Okay. Is
Anybody.
there do you typically target, would it be sorry, now we get to do your sales plug. But
Okay.
so in terms of the individuals who would want to work with you, like business leaders,
Mhm.
sales leaders seems to be a good one. Athletes. I mean, who do you typically want to work with?
Well, I will work with anyone who wants to learn the skills of uh, more efficiency, more accuracy, more product, bottom line productivity. But my goal is to work with athletes again. You know,
Yes.
again, like give me the ball, coach. I want to learn everything I can to be the best I can be. And
Yes.
so this to me is the next step of that. And uh, I'm hoping to connect with CSU again to kind of sandwich my career and kind of give back to them to keep athletes eligible. I've talked with them for a little bit, and so that's in the works. But basically, Envision Coaching can go out and do clinics, workshops. I would love to teach coaches so they could teach, like I said before, so they could teach their players.
Yes.
There's no way that a one-man show here, one person show here could hit all the people that I think could value from this. And so the more I can share that out, the better it'll be.
No, absolutely. I'm so excited about it. But yes, and so then is it this also, I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've also talked about this with dealing with stress. Is that something that you do too?
Yep. So stress management is a huge part of it. Um, so when the systems kind of go haywire and we get that fight, flight, or freeze, sympathetic nervous system feedback, my Envision coaching gives people tools to bring it back to the parasympathetic so that we can become regulated, so we can have our memory back and have good decision making. So that, like I said, that kind of transcends beyond sport. Who is not stressed?
Oh, I know. Everybody's always stressed.
Okay, so that's the
Chasing
thing.
around a 6 and a 3-year-old. I'm stressed all the
Right? And so in those moments while you're running up the stairs with them and you got to get the bath water running and they're all over, then you check in on yourself. And so often, I'm just going to overgeneralize here, but many times people don't check in on themselves. They
No.
don't say, how am I doing? And am I regulated enough to be in this situation? And if I'm not, what can I do in the moment to be regulated so that I can show up for my kids or show up for anybody? And really, it can take just 90 seconds to regulate that system again, even less if you're really committed to it.
Dang, okay. Oh,
It's
that's good
not,
to know.
but you got to practice it. It's like going to the gym and, expecting to press or, whatever you would use that, I guess for, let's say for baseball, right? You're gonna work those muscles
Yeah.
for hitting. And so that you don't do that while you're on the playing field, you do that off site
Yes.
so that you
Yes.
have the strength on site. And so that's the same with this practice as you have more of a formal practice of just practicing being in the moment so that when you're in the actual mode of living, all you have to do is remember what you had practiced. So
Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
muscle
No, that's
memory,
good.
it's thought memory. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I like of what you just said right there was awesome. It's that thought memory of muscle memory because that's as athletes, that's especially in baseball and in those sports. I mean, all you're doing is trying to groove as many good reps as you possibly can to build that muscle memory, right? But you don't
Exactly.
think about building as many reps as I possibly can on that thought memory.
Right.
I would
Right.
just want to take good swings so when I get in the game, I can trust my swing, right? But
Exactly.
it's that thought memory. That's such an awesome way of doing it. And so with that being said, I mean, is it mostly one-on-one stuff? Do you do group stuff? Is it seminars? I mean, what's kind of the ideal
Yeah.
or bread and butter for you on just getting this? I'm so I'm just so excited. I'm like you. I just get so passionate about this kind of stuff just thinking about it now.
Yeah.
But so is it how do you ideally just want to spread this message the most?
Yeah.
One-on-one? Is it small groups? Is it by teams? Is it big seminars? What's kind of would be best for you?
Yeah, all of that. But I think really to start off with, I think just small clinics and free workshops just to kind of get those juices flowing. But ideally to have a coach come to me and say, I've got a great practice player, but they're not showing up for the game. What
Uh-huh.
can you do for me, right? And then I get to get in there and kind of roll up my sleeves and go, okay, yeah, let's look at this. Um, but some people don't need that one-on-one. So when I do one-on-one, it's like this, like a Zoom call. It's on their schedule. But if they don't need that, then it's more of I do a lot of team dynamics and how to communicate with people, how to trust the teammates. I mean, without that stuff, which many coaches are really good at developing that, and then you add that mental component in with it. It's just a fantastic, nice package.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
clinics and
Absolutely.
workshops.
Yeah, that's so would it be it's personal curiosity, like daily, weekly,
Mm.
monthly? I mean, what's kind of the best scheduling for something like this?
That's a great question because, like I said, it's just like lifting weights, right? When you stop practicing it, you can wane away from those skills that you might have had if you had started or kept with it. But
Yes.
initially, Jake, I feel like I can get people kind of up and going so they're almost on their own within 3 to 4 sessions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
giving them the skills they need. And then I check in with them about once a week until they either are like my golfers, we did it in the off season about once a week. And then
Okay.
as the season started, I kind of pull back and let them contact me. If they're tripped up by something, I even went out and watched one of my players play and gave me insight. And
Uh-huh.
so it's really up to the individual after they have these initial, I'm kind of committed and protective that they at least do 3 sessions. So I know we're on the same page
Yes.
for communication and that we're not practicing things that aren't helpful, right? Um,
Yes.
but then after that, it's really it feels contagious, right? It's like, oh, I want more of that. I want more of that. And so I give them the skills because my whole goal is give you the skills and you run with it. You don't have to keep coming back. You can come back for an adjustment, a tune-up. Hey, have you tried this yet? Um, so yeah, that's kind of it. It's kind of a broad clinic workshops, work individually, and then let that person go and see how they do on their own.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. I know. That's what I always, when I was coaching, I always like to say, you're your best hitting coach. My job is to help you train your mind so that you can be your own hitting coach. So you don't need me anymore, right?
Exactly,
But yes,
exactly. And
no,
I
that's
have worked my way out of a job because my athletes are doing great, you know. And so I'm like, no, okay. So there has to be a different way to kind of send that ripple effect out. And I think it really is through some of the coaching, community.
Yes. Oh,
That
that's awesome. Yes. And so what would be the best way for people to get in touch with you? Coaches to get in touch with you because coaches
coach,
need this.
yeah. Um, I can. Well, it's my phone number is 970-661 CALM.
Oh, that's
Or
awesome.
I know. Or they can do imagine at envisioncoaching.com. And I have flyers and I don't know what else I could give you that would help. But again, um, you can reach out through you or
Yeah, that's awesome. That's I just want everybody that's listening in to check this out because this is pretty dang cool stuff. Yeah, and that's awesome. And then so we'll get that out. We got to get people in touch with you. People need this. It's awesome. It's such a competitive advantage.
it is.
So as we've kind of built in through all of this, I mean, I always like to ask as we kind of wrap up here is with all of that being said, what would be your biggest piece of advice or guidance to those individuals that are going through their transition away from sports and finding their next chapter of life and finding their identity and all that stuff? What would you say to, the 22, 23-year-old who's trying to find their way in life after sports?
I think it's important as coaches or leaders for this next group of men, our mentorship is to help them realize what their value is currently, right? To help them validate all their qualities, all their things that they have learned through this experience that they've had. And again, tell them that they're more than what they did, but those values and those qualities that they've gained from that sport carry with you into the next phase of life, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's about acknowledgement. If we can teach athletes how to acknowledge validate everything they've gone through, and it just helps build their character and their who they are as a person. And it doesn't matter what they do; those things go with them everywhere, every step they take.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's what one of the things that I talk to I talk to my kids a lot about is, I don't care who you are, be you, right? I don't care
Mm,
what you
right.
do, be you, right? The
Right.
most important and influential thing you could ever possibly be or bring to this earth is who you are, right?
Right.
And so just be as comfortable and confident in who you are as a person and the value. My mom always said coolness comes from within. Love that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
She said
Good
it's
job,
not about
mom.
what you wear, it's about how you wear it. And I was like, oh, okay. I love these things. But it's all about that, right? It's that acceptance and that just trust within yourself, of, be the best you can possibly be. And
Yeah.
and so I love that. I think that that's
Yeah.
great. Great
And
advice.
I think coaches really have this is a little judgy, but a duty to really reflect back on their players of the values they see in their players. Like, I see you're a hard worker. I see that your work ethic is kick ass. I see that whatever it is, our athletes are listening. And if we can help them to find their truth statements in whatever they're hearing, because sometimes they hear negative things and they think that's true, right? But trying to find their positive truth statements that they will carry on forever is such a gift from our coaches.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and that's, the best coaches are the ones who, are not just in it for not to just make you the best baseball player possible, right? But to help shape you as a future, you know, a future individual, citizen of society, a leader,
Contributor.
an employee, a contributor, a
Mhm,
husband, a wife, a mother, a father, whatever it
mhm.
is. I mean, that's those are the best coaches out there, and that's what, I mean it's clear right now that you've had a lot of impact on me beyond the game. But it's looking at like Scott Bullock, and so
Yep,
he's one of the probably the best coach. I mean, he's in the
yep.
top three human beings I've ever
Isn't
met in
he
my life. I
amazing?
love Scott Bullock with all my
Yeah,
heart, but he as a great coach, was not just in it for us on the baseball field. He was
yeah,
helping shape and build us as men, as husbands, fathers, all these things that
yeah,
we were going to be for the rest of our lives. And there's still so many things that I pull back on from that, right? So it's a big differentiator as a coach in the value that you bring
yeah,
to your team. So yeah, I absolutely love
yeah.
that.
Well, and you know what? It takes the coaches and it takes athletes like you are and were, Jake, to really value and you were always listening. You were like, okay, maybe yeah, I'm gonna try that, right? And so it's that relationship that the coaches can help fortify and really um develop. And then all of a sudden we have this mentoring going on, right? And now you're stepping into that and you're giving back to the community and a contributor. And so it takes everybody, but I really value how you have seen beyond just and not just because you accomplished a lot, right? But you're ready for the next steps, and that's huge. That's just so huge. What a gift.
Oh, it's been fun, and that's what, they talk about being coachable, right? And
Yep.
coming into it. I mean, it's those moments in sports and in life, the moment that you think you have it all figured out, you're going to get humbled. And so it's an awesome trait as an athlete, as an employee, as a parent, as a a husband, a wife, whatever it is,
Yep.
to be coachable and to constantly learn. And it's the more you learn, the less you feel that you know. And so you just want to learn more and be curious
Right.
and all
Right.
those
Right.
things. And so it's so fantastic. But thank you again so much for
Thank you.
jumping on here with us. This has been an awesome conversation. Everybody should get in touch with you because of what you can bring to the table, and just how well-rounded all of that, that stuff that you're doing. I mean, how much that can help individuals personally, professionally, on the field, off the field, in business, everything. And so really appreciate you sharing your story and your message and all that stuff with us and everybody. So we appreciate your time, and any parting thoughts from you.
Well, I just appreciate walking that timeline with you. That was so thoughtful, and I really admire that how you kind of got everything out that we needed to talk about. But it's just again, it's about valuing that person's story in that timeline and how you can contribute back. But I just look forward to meeting people and anybody who wants to work. I'll want to work with them.
Absolutely. We love that. But yeah, thank you again. And we really do appreciate your time.
Okay, Jake, thanks so much.